Part 18. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 171. Chapter 171 Dinner Party 3. At this time, A came forward, and his sharp and thin voice sounded, "Tonight is a banquet specially hosted by the Emperor for the third prince, fifth princess, and the envoys of the Empire of Japan. The banquet has begun, please sing and dance, and hope that the Empire of Japan will VIPs like it." Immediately a dancer came in and started performing in the middle of the banquet. The banquet was originally held separately for men on the left and women on the right. There was a round platform in the middle as a dance floor, specially designed for the palace banquet. When the music started, the dancers began their performance. Yuan was bored as she ate the cakes made by Xiaoliu, looking for Fengxi with her consciousness. She only saw 6 brothers, Yu Heiran, and they occupied one table. Miss Feng is not there, maybe she is still in the imperial dining room, and it is not the time to go to the main table yet. She glanced at the emperor on the left, who was alone at the table, but saw that his eyes were narrowed and uncertain, as if he was looking for someone. He has not married yet. Every time there is anything in the palace, Feng takes care of it. It seems that he must find a woman for him. She followed the emperor's eyes to the last few tables of the banquet, where there were several girls who seemed to be of low status. The emperor always focused on a 15-year-old girl with a haircut. She was wearing a goose yellow shirt and skirt, with only a hairpin on her head, which made her look a little shabby. But she ate elegantly and was very focused on the food, without even glancing around. Yuan looked at her facial features carefully, a little surprised, and then smiled knowingly. This is a smart girl who knows how to hide her clumsiness. No wonder the emperor fell in love with her. The singing and dancing ended soon, and everyone in the hall was in high spirits and eager to have another performance. Immediately the in-charge announced that girls from various aristocratic families and official families would perform on stage. Yuan glanced at the emperor. "I'm afraid tonight is also a blind date party, haha, I guess good things are coming." The first one to take the stage was the daughter-in-law of Zhou Xiang's family. She was very beautiful and majestic. When she appeared on stage, the eyes of all the young masters were so bright. But the shy smile was given to the emperor. "Girl Wan, what do you think of the daughter-in-law of Zhou Xiang's family?" The Empress Dowager approached Yuan and asked her. "Grandma, don't worry, my cousin will give you a surprise tonight," Yuan said. Really, I don't believe you will see the end here." The Empress Dowager didn't believe it. She looked at the emperor. He lowered his head and only ate in his mouth, without even looking at the beautiful woman below. "Girl Wan, look at your cousin, he only wants to eat the girl from whichever family he likes, alas." "Hey, the answer will be revealed tonight, the palace is going to hold a happy event. You only know how to make the queen's grandmother happy." The queen mother nodded Yuan's nose. Yuan gave the Empress Dowager a piece of cake. She leaned into her ear and said, "Does Grandma Huang have any requests for the Empress?" The Empress Dowager was stunned, and she asked back, "Girl Wan, do you know that girl's status is not high?" "Should, probably." The Empress Dowager almost choked. Yuan immediately stroked her lower back. Why did the Empress Dowager react so strongly? If she had known it earlier, she would not have revealed it. She quickly asked, "Grandma, are you okay? It's all your granddaughter's fault for talking nonsense." And who wiped the queen mother's mouth and waved her hand. "The queen's grandmother is fine, don't worry, it's just a bit surprising at first glance. But it's okay, a stronger mother clan is not necessarily a good thing. Back then, your queen's grandfather married the powerful queen of her mother's family, what's the result? Transfer of power to relatives has been happening since ancient times. It brings disaster to the country and the people. In fact, after all, I am still strong enough. Cultivate your own people and know how to balance employment." No matter how good your relatives and outsiders are, they can't make trouble. Thinking of this, Yuan was thinking that she might as well give the 12 children to the emperor. Not only were the monks stronger than the warriors, they could swear to be loyal to the emperor and not betray them. There are still 144 children left. If one day she takes her family and leaves this continent, she can leave them to the emperor. Time flies so fast. After an hour, the performance ends and the food starts to be served. The maids filed in carrying dishes. At this time, an envoy from the Great Sun Empire came out. He saluted the emperor, the empress dowager, and said, "Your Majesty, Emperor Dian, our 3 princes and 5th princesses of the Great Sun Empire have come to marry Qin and Jin by order of our emperor. I wonder what His Majesty Emperor Dian thinks." Just now he clearly felt a sense of hostility in his 3rd prince. They had been here for half a month, and Emperor Dian was either busy or perfunctory. He has long lost his composure. The emperor raised his eyes. His eyes were deep and deep, but his expression was neither salty nor bland. He said, "Ah, I'm here to welcome you tonight. The 3 princes and 5 princesses will have a good meal and drink. As for business, it must be in the morning tomorrow morning. Manage." The envoy was obviously a little angry. He lowered his voice and said, "I think His Majesty Emperor Dian is afraid that he doesn't want to be friends with Qin and Jin. If you don't want to, just say it clearly. Why bother? Alas, search you, please don't be rude." Chu Yongxiao immediately flew to stand beside the envoy. He cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, Emperor Dian, I'm really sorry. Master Chu drank too much and talked nonsense. Please Hai Han. However, I do sincerely come to propose to marry Princess Wanking of your country. I hope that your Majesty Emperor Dian will marry you complete." The emperor touched his chin. Can you change it to another one?" Many ministers in the hall couldn't bear the expression of His Majesty the Emperor. Chu Yongxiao was not affected at all. He still asked gently, "What do you mean, His Majesty the Emperor?" The emperor finished his meal, waved his hand and said, "It doesn't mean anything. It's just that my cousin's marriage has been taken care of by the emperor, so I don't have to worry about it. Just in time, she is here." He pointed at Yuan. Yuan rolled her eyes and turned the fire on her. It's just that Chu Yongxiao's leap just now was not easy. The ministers below immediately shut up. For a moment, the hall was so silent that you could hear a pin drop. There is no minister who doesn't know what happened to Yuan back then. The 10-year-old kid was so cruel. After 6 years, people's skills have improved a lot. Who dares to fart in front of her? Of course, there are some people who are not afraid of trouble. Sure enough, Chu Yongxiao saluted the Queen Mother Yuan. "Princess Wanking, I have admired you for a long time, please grant me your wish." Yuan gasped. She stood up, walked off the stage, came to Mujukan, and stretched out her hand. Mujukan raised the corners of his mouth, held her hand, and came out. The 2 of them came to Chu Yongxiao hand in hand and said very politely, "The 3rd prince has come from afar. We welcome you, but I cannot fulfill your request for marriage. If I fulfill your wish, what will I become? As early as 5 years ago, the Supreme Emperor granted me a marriage contract with Mujukan, so thank you for your admiration, I have no luck in accepting it." End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 172. Chapter 172 Palace Banquet 4. After Yuan's crisp words, Chu Yongxiao's gentle and jade-like face instantly stiffened. He quickly lowered his head, gritted his teeth, and clenched his fists tightly in his sleeves. Has he ever been so humiliated? He had already put down his face and asked for marriage, but this woman didn't give him any face and refused directly in public. Suddenly, a powerful aura came out of him, but it was fleeting. "Third brother, a beautiful girl aged 16 or 17 ran up at this time. Seeing that something was not going well, she immediately took Chu Yongxiao's arm and glared at Yuan with hatred. Suddenly, Yuan ignored the cannibalistic look in the fifth princess's eyes. She and Mujukan quickly took a few steps back, and the two of them got on the defensive. Chu Yongxiao was shocked, and he realized that he had just revealed his profound power. He regained his composure, and when he raised his eyes, Yuan and the others had already retreated. His eyes narrowed slightly and a light flashed through them. The profound power he just revealed could not escape being injured even by ordinary foundation-building monks next to him. Are these two high-level monks? This happened within a few breaths. In the eyes of the people in the hall, Chu Yongxiao was rejected, and he bowed his head to mean that he was sad. Chu Yongxiao returned to his normal state in the blink of an eye. He bowed deeply to Yuan and said, "Princess Wanqing, you are so abrupt." Then he turned around and returned to his seat, as if what just happened had nothing to do with him. It's just that no one knows how angry he is under his gentle surface at the moment. He must get Yuan. When he saw her for the first time, he couldn't help but jump wildly. He had always been indifferent to women, but he only had Yuan in his eyes and heart. Friar, is he afraid? Chu Yongxiao's eyes were dark at this moment, and the corner of his mouth curled up. He looked at the two figures leaving, his eyes fixed on Yuan's beautiful figure. The woman he fell in love with for the first time was destined to not escape from his grasp. Yu Heiran, who was next to him, frowned. He sensed the profound energy that Chu Yongxiao had leaked instantly. Now I saw him staring at Yuan's back. Although his face was still as gentle as jade, his eyes were staring at her like a poisonous snake, but he could not escape his consciousness. Yu Hao and Yu Haoshan looked at him, and of course they felt it. The three brothers made eye contact, lowered their heads and ate silently. Because of what had just happened in the main hall, the ministers of the Dian Empire would naturally not go to talk to the third prince. They would occasionally make a toast as if they wanted to, so as not to lose etiquette. Yuan and Mujukan came to the stage to greet the emperor and the empress dowager, then immediately left the table and went out to the main hall. The two found a remote place and sat down. Mujukan, this Chu Yongxiao is not simple. Do you know that there are still people on this continent who practice mystical power? Mujukan was still thinking. He was wondering what the power on Chu Yongxiao was just now. Suddenly, hearing Yuan ask him, he shook his head. He only knew that people could cultivate spiritual power and the true energy of warriors. This was the first time he had heard of this mysterious power. Yuan nodded, and then she told Mujukan, Suanli is actually modified from the method of cultivating spiritual power. It can be regarded as martial arts. The way they cultivate is the same as spiritual power, and they are level by level. Once you reach a certain level, you can live forever. Of course, except that you can't cast spells, the power you exert is not necessarily lower than that of a monk. Mujukan understood, and he calmed down and said, that Chu Yongxiao just now had profound energy in him. His power was not small, and his cultivation level was higher than ours. Fortunately, we retreated in time, and the amount he exuded was just that, a moment. Yes, both of them were silent. This person just came with bad intentions and must have come to stir up trouble. After a while, Mujukan thought of a possibility and said, Wan'er, do you think he is a person who was destroyed? In fact, his purpose is very simple, that is, to find a reason to provoke a war between the two countries. Yuan listened to Mujukan's analysis and realized that it was possible. It would be difficult for this person to be destroyed. She was wondering if he was one of the palace masters who had been destroyed. She remembered that Yu San had said that those two palace masters were beings that Ziyi could not deal with even in the middle stage of foundation building. This Chu Yongxiao was born in the royal family. It is not unusual for him to have mystical power to practice martial arts, and it is not surprising for him to practice at such a young age. How could the royal family lack his cultivation resources? It is impossible to say that this destruction was caused by the Empire of Japan. Its purpose was to swallow up the three kingdoms and unify the mainland. The darkness of the Dian Empire is not good, and now it has risen to the bright. Yuan figured it out and told Mujukan everything she thought about. The two of them were in a state of lamentation. They had just found out where they were, and they came to their door, and they came in an upright manner. The two waited until the palace banquet was over before they went their separate ways. Mujukan went to find the emperor, while Yuan quickly returned to Jiaowei Mountain, took Yu Yi and the 12 children down the mountain overnight and sent them to the palace. After handing them over to the emperor, they put 44 children in the capital to find out information. Chu Yongxiao, who returned to the post house, was so furious that he almost tore down the house. The fifth princess and the envoys standing outside did not dare to express their anger. They did not understand why the third prince was so angry tonight. Before setting off, they all knew that it was a lie that they came to Dian to marry Qingjin, but that they had another purpose. But looking at the third prince's behavior, it was obvious that he really wanted to marry Princess Wanqing. The envoys looked bitter, wondering what they should do. Everyone, look at me and I look at you. We have no choice but to wait here and wait for the third prince to vent his anger before discussing. The third prince is the most promising among the princes of the Japanese Empire to inherit the throne, both in terms of reputation and strength. His culture, skills, and military skills are even better than the current emperor of Japan, and he is deeply loved by the emperor. They, the ministers, can only wait and endure. Even the fifth princess does not dare to make mistakes. You all go down. Finally the envoys heard the third prince's heavenly voice. They breathed a sigh of relief and returned to their respective rooms. In the room, Chu Yongxiao sat motionless on the chair. He didn't expect that things went beyond the original plan. When he saw Yuan tonight, he couldn't forget that figure, which made his calm heart ripple. An hour later, Chu Yongxiao took out a pen and paper, swiped it a few times and wrote down the words. He flicked his sleeves, and a little bird came out. He wrote the note and put it in the small iron tube on the bird's leg. Then he put it in the small iron tube on the bird's leg. The bird was released. Tonight, the entire capital is destined to have a sleepless night for some people. In the dark night, there are black shadows moving from time to time, wandering in the streets and alleys of the capital. Yu Mansion, it was almost dawn when Yuan returned. She washed up and climbed into bed and fell asleep. Dong dong dong, there was a rapid knock on the door. Yuan suddenly woke up in a daze. She got up and opened the door. "Princess, someone sent me a note from outside," she said respectfully. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 173. Chapter 173, Keeping an Appointment. Yuan frowned. Who sent the note so early in the morning? Who in the capital didn't know that she never answered messages and even asked the nun to knock on her door? Whose post? The nun urged her to hand her a beautiful golden sticker. She shook her head and said, "I don't know who it is. I can't check the princess's things privately. The person who sent the sticker outside said that he must make you agree before he leaves." Yuan opened the post and saw that it was Chu Yongxiao who invited her to have dinner at Xin Chen restaurant at noon tomorrow, saying he wanted to apologize. What about me? This person is mentally ill. She refused and he comes to apologize. Urge Mama, please reply to him and arrive on time tomorrow. Hurrying Grandma to nod and go downstairs. Yuan turned around, fell on the bed and continued sleeping. Mujukan had just entered the mansion. "Uncle Mu, Mrs. Su, and second Master Mu all stepped forward and pulled him into the main hall without saying a word. "Son, please tell me what's going on," Uncle Mu asked hurriedly. Last night, when Yuan held his son's hand, his heart almost jumped out of his chest. The daughter of the eldest princess, who doesn't know that except for the 3 people in the palace, her family is the most noble. When did his son hook up with Princess Wanking, and they didn't know about it? This must not be out of etiquette and offend others. How are they going to deal with it? Alas, this little son has become a blockbuster without even making a sound. "Father, mother, and second uncle, can you let me sleep for a while and tell you slowly?" He had been busy all night, and his consciousness was exhausted. Now he was so sleepy that he even wanted to sleep while walking. The 3 of them remained silent. Mujukin simply lay down on the table. As soon as he closed his eyes and fell asleep, he heard his snoring soon. The 3 of them had no choice but to ask their servants to help him back to his bedroom. At Ding Mansion, Mu Lian was coaxing Ding Ninger, who had been making a lot of noise since she came back last night. Last night, Yuan's touch touched the hearts of many girls in the capital. Mujukin, who was like a from the 9 heavens falling into the mortal world, was taken away by Princess Wanking. Ding Ninger was the most unwilling. After she came back, she cried and made a fuss and wanted to go to Mujukin to find out what was wrong with her. "Mom, let's go find my uncle and aunt. Brother Chen listens to them the most. Can you let him marry me?" Ding Ninger's eyes were red and she shook Mu Lian's arm. Mu Lian stood up, her heart skipped a beat, she closed her eyes, and slapped Ding Ninger on the face. "Wow, Weavua, mother, why did you hit me?" Ding Ninger covered her face and looked at Mu Lian with hateful eyes. She yelled, "Why, Brother Chen is mine. He must marry me. He cannot marry that bitch. Can't we just marry that to the 3rd prince? Why do you want to rob my brother Chen?" Mu Lian was so angry that she almost fainted. She stroked her chest and pointed at Ding Ninger, "Shut up, you rebellious girl. Princess Wanking, are you allowed to curse? If you don't want to be exterminated, just shut up, I'm in jail. Look at you, how can you compare to me? You're so unruly and willful, you just stare at your cousin. You make me so angry." Mu Lian waved her hands and went out, closing the door. She looked at the women and maids outside. She said, "What I just heard, who dares to say a single word will destroy his whole family. He also guards the young lady and does not allow her to leave the yard. If you leave this courtyard, you will definitely not be treated lightly." "Yes, madam," all the servants knelt down and kowtowed. Yuan didn't get up until night. Like Mujukin, she consumed too much consciousness last night and has only recovered to a certain extent now. As soon as she got up, a little snake flew out and wrapped itself around her wrist. "Master, as you expected, Chu Yongxiao really sent a message last night after saying that, a little bird floated out of it, which turned out to be the one Chu Yongxiao let go last night." Yuan grabbed the little bird and took out the note from its leg. She took a look at it and saw that she knew the words, but she didn't know what they meant. They were the same as the words in the wooden box she got from the monk. Only its words, but not its meaning. She immediately turned her eyes and said, "Little snake, let this little bird go. Follow it and see where it goes." She was now certain that Chu Yongxiao must be the one who was destroyed. The little snake nodded, took the bird and flew away. At this time, Ms. Feng came up with the food herself. "Mom, just ask the nuns to bring it up." Yuan quickly took the tray and put it on the table, and then the mother and daughter sat down. "Xiao Sier, my mother knows what happened last night." "Oh, you eat and talk while you eat." Feng took out the food and put it in front of her. Yuan was indeed hungry. She picked up her chopsticks and started eating. "Xiao Sier, how do you deal with the matter between you and Mujukin? When I came back today, word spread throughout the capital, and the marriage of the 2 children must be settled." People's mouths are the most gossipy. If they don't calm down, they will cause trouble in the city and bring disgrace to the royal family. Mom, how about something? That's enough. Yuan didn't know what else to do. Last night in the main hall, the Empress Dowager, the Emperor and all the civil and military officials were there. She made it clear and also how to drop it. You, at least get engaged. Mrs. Fen nodded her forehead and said, how can you do it without taking action? Marriage is all about the matchmaker's words, and it can be settled in just a few words. Yuan frowned and said, Mom, don't I have an imperial edict in my hand? Doesn't this mean something? There is only one copy of that imperial edict, and it was asked for by Mujukan. Just like this morning, your cousin issued an imperial edict to marry the queen, and each family had one. He himself issued the edict to marry the queen. That is all to be announced to the world. Oh, it means that her marriage decree was not exposed. In the eyes of others, are they giving and receiving privately? Let me go, falling in love is so troublesome. Then listen to me, you can make arrangements. That's right, that kid will have a master from now on, so no one can try to figure him out. Mrs. Fen went down happily. Well, it's not easy. Xiao Sier finally agreed. It's hard to find such a suitable son-in-law even with a lantern, so we have to get him fixed quickly. You can also silence the people's mouths, otherwise you won't know how it will be spread. Even though the imperial power is supreme, it cannot silence the people. At noon the next day, Yuan arrived at Xin Chen restaurant on time. She entered the lobby. When the shopkeeper saw that her boss was coming, he quickly stepped forward to greet her. Hello, Miss Forth, are you dining in your room, or? No need for it today, go and do your work. The shopkeeper nodded and stepped back. Yuan went up to the third floor and stopped in front of the VIP private room number 1. There were 2 people dressed as servants standing on the left and right in front of the door. When they saw it was Yuan, they hurriedly saluted and said, Princess Wanking, please come in. We, the third prince, have been waiting for a long time. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 174. Chapter 174 Eating. The 2 of them pushed the door open, and sure enough, Chu Yongxiao was sitting alone inside, drinking tea. Chu Yongxiao was stunned when he saw Yuan's face. Haha, Princess Wanking, thank you for your compliment, please sit down. He immediately stood up, helped Yuan pull out the stool, and asked her to sit down. She was so handsome. Then immediately pour the tea again. Thinking about when he, the third prince of the great Japanese Empire, had ever tried to please anyone, he had never tried to please his father. Yuan sat down and said thank you. After being polite, Chu Yongxiao placed the menu in front of her and said, Princess Wanking, take a look at what you like to eat and order whatever you want. Yuan put the menu back in front of him and said calmly, the third prince is a guest from afar. I'll treat him to this meal. I'll order whatever I like and try the different flavors of Xin Chen restaurant. There was a hint of unnaturalness on Chu Yongxiao's face, but it was fleeting. This woman will lead his army to eat at the best restaurant in the country, treat people to dinner, and just order the most expensive and delicious food. Now let him order it and treat him as a guest. Whatever Princess Wanking said, I'll treat you to this meal. How about I make a few random remarks? Yuan nodded. After Chu Yongxiao ordered the food, he asked someone outside to take the menu to the kitchen to hurry up. Princess Wanking, I was rude about what happened the night before yesterday. I am here to apologize to you. He then took out a jade box from his pocket and placed it in front of Yuan. This is a small thing, Princess Wanking, please accept it. Yuan swept it away with her consciousness and saw an imperial green jade hairpin, which was worth a lot at first glance. She shook her head and said, ignorance is not a crime. You don't know that I am engaged, so there is no way to apologize. You can take it back. Yuan didn't even touch the jade box. How could the heat in this man's eyes be hidden from her consciousness? She came today for two purposes, one was to see what evil he was holding back, and the other was that since she came today, she would have excuses for him to come to see her again in the future. This. Chu Yongxiao couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. He suppressed the unhappiness in his heart. Looking at Yuan's stunning face, I really wanted to eat her right away. The idea that he must get her is even worse. Yes, the purpose of his coming today was not to annoy her. He smiled gently and said, "Princess Wanking is right, she is right." He put the jade box away and felt very regretful. The jade box didn't have much, but the hosta did. As long as Yuan wears it, within 3 days, she will be very obedient, and she will listen to him. The bead on the head of the hosta is hollow, and there is a kind of enchanted powder inside. Even the monks can't prevent it. Once a person inhales a little bit, he will definitely listen to the poisoned person, and he can do whatever he wants. What's even more amazing is that there is no cure for this poison. He also read it in a poison book. It is a pity that the spiritual energy in this world is almost gone, and there is not even much profound energy left. This kind of poison grows in places with poisonous substances and rich mysterious energy, and he spent a lot of effort to get it. 2 parts were made, one part was in the hosta, and the other part went into his father's belly. Soon the food and wine were served, and Chu Yongxiao kept picking up the food for her, and Yu Wangxiang ate some of it as a token of appreciation. "Princess Wanking, does the food not taste good or does she dislike me?" Chu Yongxiao said half jokingly and half seriously. "The third prince is joking, you should eat quickly. Why don't these meals taste good to me every day? You only help me pick up the vegetables and don't even eat them yourself. How can I have the nerve to just eat by myself?" Yes, she just disliked it, very much. Looking at that hypocritical face, she could not bear to eat it. Chu Yongxiao was startled again. "Is this your own restaurant?" "Yeah," Yuan nodded. Chu Yongxiao's face was hurting at the moment. He invited someone to the most upscale restaurant, but it turned out that it was his own. Yuan saw his stupid look, and she was not sure whether this person was the ruined palace master. No one in the whole capital knew that this was her family's restaurant, but they didn't know that the emperor still had half of it. "He, the food in your restaurant is very unique and delicious. It can be said to be the only one in this world. Princess Wanking, have you ever thought about opening to other 3 countries? Don't worry, as long as you are willing, you can talk to all 3 countries." Yuan frowned. "This is a lot of information. Is it easy to talk about the 3 countries? Does it mean they control the 3 kingdoms?" She shook her head and refused. "Thank you, third prince, for your kindness. I haven't thought about it. Third prince, if you don't do this, I have something to do and I'll leave first while you eat slowly." She thought about it. She had to tell Mujukin about this matter. It was no small matter. "Well, I'll visit you another day." "Princess Wanking, please go slowly." Chu Yongxiao stood up, unable to hide the sullen look on his gentle face. "Okay, eat slowly." Yuan went out and came downstairs to the counter. "Shopkeeper, that private room number will be on my account." The shopkeeper said, "Okay, Miss Forth, do you have any other orders?" "No more," Yuan said, turned around and left the restaurant, riding her horse towards Yu Mansion. Upstairs, Chu Yongxiao opened the window and clenched his fists when he saw Yuan leaving. Back at Ziwen Pavilion, Yuan called Xiao Jin out and said, "Xiao Jin, you will find Mujukin." "Master, what happened?" Xiao Jin asked. "Well, go ahead and just ask him to come to my place." "Good master." Yuan was sitting in the living room, thinking, what will Chu Yongxiao do next? If 3 countries attack the Great Yan Empire at the same time, The great Yan Empire will be besieged on all sides, even with 3 heads and 6 arms, it will be difficult to escape. Ah, what a headache. She had thought that the destruction would control several countries, but she didn't expect it to be so fast. Waner, what's wrong? At this time, Mujukin came in and saw Yuan with a splitting headache. He was startled, and he quickly picked her up and prepared to leave. Ah, you're here, put me down quickly, I'm fine, I just have a headache to tell you. Yuan came to her senses only after being picked up by him. Oh, you scared me. What happened? Tell me. Mujukin put her down and sat next to her. Is such that? Yuan told me what happened at noon. You and Chu Yongxiao went to have dinner. Huh, is this the point? Yuan was surprised by his reaction. Isn't this the point? If you go to dinner with him alone, what if he is not good for you? Mujukin was also speechless. They all knew who Chu Yongxiao was and what his intentions were. She went alone, which really him off. Okay, don't be cold-hearted. There is no next time. I won't go today. His endless behavior is annoying. I will have excuses in the future. It just so happens that today's harvest is not bad. Yuan held him, said the hand. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 175. Chapter 175. The war begins. After Yuan spoke in a crackling voice, Mujukin calmed down. Mujukin sat for a while and then left. This matter was indeed troublesome. He had to find Yuhairan and the Emperor to find a way. On this day, Yuan had just finished her training when Feng Clan rushed over and placed Yaner and Yeer with her, saying to her, Xiao Sier, help my mother take these 2 guys with you. Your Uncle Bai is being treated at the border. I'm injured, I have to go there. Mom, don't be impatient. Tell me slowly what's going on. Yuan was surprised. Bai Zi was at the 9th level of Qi training, how could he be injured? Mom, I don't have time to talk to you, Mrs. Feng said and ran out. Yuan waved her hand and summoned Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin, please go with my mother to see what's going on. Xiao Jin nodded, and it immediately flew to catch up with Feng. Yuan looked at the 2 pitiful little guys. They didn't cry or make trouble, as if they knew their father was injured. She touched the heads of the 2 little guys and said, close your eyes, and my sister will take you to a fun place to play, okay? The 2 little guys nodded and closed their eyes obediently. Yuan waved her hand, and the 2 little guys entered the space, and she also entered at the same time. You can open your eyes now, she said, holding one in each hand. The 2 of them opened their eyes. Bai Junyan was the bigger one. He looked around and saw that everything was so beautiful. Yuan led them to Dabai and Xiaobai's place and let them play with them. 4th sister, that's a tiger, Bai Junyan pointed at Xiaobai and said, with 2 bright black grape-like eyes, not afraid at all, but very excited. Yes, do you want to play with them? Think, 2 childish voices sounded at the same time. Haha, 2 brave men. Dabai, Xiaobai, come here. After hearing this, the 2 little guys came over immediately. Yuan picked up the 2 little guys and put them on their backs. Dabai, Xiaobai, take them to play, don't let them get hurt, Yuan warned, and then let Dabai take the 2 little guys to play. The 2 little guys were not timid at all, and shouted on their backs, drive. Yuan looked at their backs. She thought about giving the big white to the 2 bold whites, but they happened to be both white. She walked into the field and saw Sanzu alone working, so she stepped forward to stop him. Sanzu, go and watch my 2 younger brothers. Dabai and Xiaobai are taking them to play. Sanzu put down what he was doing, nodded and said, okay, miss. Oh, and if they are hungry, you can make them something to eat, the little ones love meat. Okay, miss, I'll go then. Yuan nodded, and then she came out of the space. As soon as she came downstairs, Mujukan and Yuhairan came in a hurry. Xiao Seer, where is the little snake and Zyajin? Yuhairan asked before he entered the room and sat down. What's wrong, brother, are you in such a hurry? Dayan and Da Chang are at war with us, and we want to borrow the little snake Zyajin for a trip, Mujukan said. The war started, so soon? Is there a big day? Well, they didn't, but Chu Yongxiao still wants to marry you. Mujukan punched the stool, and the stool instantly turned into powder. Marry me and the war will stop, Yuan asked. Yeah, Yuhairan nodded. No wonder Mujukan was so angry. This man is mentally ill. He came to her door every day some time ago, but she avoided seeing him. Does this change the strategy? Brother, Xiao Jin went to Uncle Bai's place with his mother, and the messenger bird that Xiao Snake went to track Chu Yongxiao has not returned yet. Yuan was also anxious. The little snake had been there for half a month since its departure. According to its speed, it should have come back long ago. Mujukan and Yuhairan fell into a brief silence. Yuan stepped forward, held Mujukan's hand and said, "Are you going to the northern border?" Mujukan looked at her with deep eyes. He took a deep breath and nodded. He said, "I'll leave right away, just to see you. Are you afraid that I will agree?" "Don't worry, I won't marry him. I will come find you when the little snake comes back." Mujukan's frown relaxed and he nodded. He held her hand with his strong palm and said, "Okay, I'll wait for you." Fourth son, the situation is urgent. The second and third sons are going to go on a mission soon. Mujukan is gone. I have to take care of the imperial city. I don't have much time to go home. You take care of the house, Yuhairan said to her and talked to Mujukan. Jukan looked at each other, and Mujukan had to put down her hand, and then the two of them left without looking back. Yuan sat quietly on the chair. She felt angry and wanted to kill Chu Yongxiao right away. "Princess, the third prince's man is here again. He said he wants you to see him," he urged Mammy to report. He, this action is quite timely. As soon as Mujukan and his eldest brother left, he came with the back. "Did he say where he met?" The reminder frowned. She said, "The master of the county is still not good. At first glance, the person is not a good bird. He said we would meet at Maple Leaf Pavilion in the east of the city." Hunted her to grit her teeth and say it. "Okay, you can take care of things at home, and I'll go right away." Damn it, I really thought she had no temper. Yuan tidied up, took the horse and ran straight towards the east gate. There is a maple leaf mountain 30 miles east of the city. In autumn, the mountain is covered with brilliant yellow maple leaves. Many people come here to enjoy the autumn. Autumn has just entered, and the maple leaves on the mountains have not turned yellow yet, so there are not many people coming to visit. Then Chu Yongxiao is good at choosing places. Yuan ran all the way and arrived at the Maple Leaf Pavilion in the Maple Leaf Forest in half an hour. Chu Yongxiao saw the heroic Yuan on horseback from a distance, and felt so hot in his heart. "Haha, Princess Wanking really kept her promise, please." Yuan got off the horse and tied it to the hitching post. "Follow him into the pavilion and sit down." "Princess Wanking, please have tea." Chu Yongxiao placed a cup of tea in front of her. Yuan smelled the tea and found that there was nothing wrong with it, but she still did not drink it. It's just that she ignored the flash of excitement in Chu Yongxiao's eyes. "The third prince invited me here. If you have anything to say, please tell me directly." She didn't have the time to give him a hint. Princess Wanking is really impatient. Let's not talk behind the scenes. I like you and want to marry you. As long as you promise me, I will ensure that your great Yan Empire will never have any worries. What do you think? You can consider what I say. Chu Yongxiao's face has long lost its usual gentleness, and now it looks excited, as if everything is under his control. "You are the palace owner who was destroyed, Right, Yuan said softly without any anger at all. Chu Yongxiao's expression changed. Princess Wanqing is really smart. Yuan instantly spun around and appeared outside the pavilion. She struck Chu Yongxiao with a palm. Huh? What's going on? After Yuan waved a palm, she felt dizzy and fell down. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 176. Chapter 176 Captivity. Chu Yongxiao dodged Yuan's blow, and saw that the pavilion that was just fine collapsed instantly. He flew forward and hugged Yuan, put his hand in his mouth and blew, and a tall brown horse ran out. Chu Yongxiao jumped onto the horse with Yuan in his arms, and the horse ran towards the mountain. When Yuan was a little conscious, it seemed like she was being held by someone on the carriage. When she wanted to move, a fragrance suddenly filled her nose, and then she fell asleep again. In the carriage, Chu Yongxiao hugged Yuan, and her hands gently touched her face, so cautiously and so focused, as if she was afraid of accidentally breaking her. His heart was beating violently and he was excited. Finally he got her. He put his face lovingly against Yuan's, enjoying the warmth of this moment. When Yuan opened her eyes slowly became focused. She was lying on the bed, and the pink sand tent above her head reflected the pink and tender surroundings. It hurt so much. When she tried to use her consciousness, her head hurt like needles. She tried to use her spiritual power, but her whole body was weak and her dantian was blocked. She was still careless and fell into Chu Yongxiao's plot. Creak, the door opened at this time. "Madam, are you awake?" "I'll tell the palace master right away," a sweet voice said. "Mrs. When did she become a madam? Damn it, this madman Chu." After a while, the door was opened again, and Chu Yongxiao's voice sounded, so gentle and affectionate that Yuan almost vomited. "Wan, you're awake." He sat on the edge of the bed, looking down at Yuan affectionately, his eyes full of love. Yuan glared at him. "You are a lunatic. If you have the guts, you'd better kill me." "Hey, Wan, why are you so angry? You will be my woman sooner or later. Just stay calm. You must be hungry. I will bring you food." After saying this, he leaned over and kissed Yuan on the face. "Get up and leave." "Ah, you pervert, you bastard, I'm going to kill you." Yuan was so angry that her eyes burst into flames. She roared at the top of her lungs, but her voice was not angry, but soft and sweet. Chu Yongxiao closed the door. He leaned against the wall and heard Yuan scolding him, but he didn't care. He really loved her terribly. On the way, he couldn't help but want her several times, but he was afraid that she would wake up and seek death, so he endured it again and again. He took a deep breath and walked to the kitchen. In a hall, Chu Yongxiao sat opposite the purple-robed man with a sad face. The man in purple robe said contemptuously, "You look nothing like the Ziyun I know. What's there to worry about? You're just a good-looking monk. If you want, just go straight to it." "Reckless man," Chu Yongxiao spit out two words. "Ha ha ha, Yan Cha, am always a reckless man. How can I be as intelligent as you? Are you a civilized and military strategist, a humble gentleman? What a waste." Yan Cha looked up to the sky and laughed, and then his face sank, a chilling air overflowed, and he stared at Chu Yongxiao. "Don't think that I don't know your thoughts. The original plan remains unchanged. If anyone interferes with it, don't blame me for being ruthless." "Huh?" Yan Cha flicked his sleeves and turned his back to Chu Yongxiao. Chu Yongxiao returned to his normal appearance. He leaned on the back of the chair and said in a lazy voice, "Oh, I don't know how ruthless our palace master is, but I really want to try." You. Poof, Yan Sha suddenly spurted out a large mouthful of blood, and he suddenly bent over and covered his chest. You poisoned me, good, very good, I don't want the palace of destruction anymore, give me the antidote. Yan Sha's eyes were red, like a mad cow, ready to pounce on its prey. Chu Yongxiao waved his hand and smiled gently at Yan Sha, tisk, 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 it's not fun for the palace master to beg for mercy so quickly. There is no antidote, just find a feng shui treasure by yourself. His expression changed and became gloomy, and he left without even looking at Yan Sha. Yuan was lying on the bed, having just eaten the porridge fed by the sweet little girl, and was about to close her eyes and open her sealed dantian. I don't know what kind of medicine Chu Yongxiao used. Whenever she uses her spiritual consciousness, her head will hurt and she will feel dizzy. She had to find a way to enter the dimension and get rid of the medicine on her body. Her two younger brothers were still in the dimension. Did her eldest brother know that she was missing and abducted? Sigh, if I had known why I sent the little snake out, I still don't know what happened to it now. This madman Chu deserves to be killed with 1,000 cuts, she must kill him. Wan'er, have you eaten? It was said that Cao arrived, and Chu Yongxiao went straight to the bed as soon as he entered the house. Yuan simply closed her eyes and said nothing. Hey, why are you doing this? What's wrong with me? Am I not worthy of being your husband? Who is Mujukan? I'm better than him in every way. Chu Yongxiao became more and more excited as he talked. He put his hands on Yuan's shoulders and leaned down to kiss her. Yuan spat out a mouthful of saliva, hitting Chu Yongxiao right in the face. You. Chu Yongxiao really wanted to slap Yuan, so he immediately let go of Yuan. He stood up and took out a handkerchief to wipe away the saliva on his face. I will choose a good day and we will get married. Whether you want it or not, you can only be my wife, Chu Yongxiao, in this life. Just accept your fate. Chu Yongxiao glanced at Yuan, who was expressionless and had her eyes closed, and left bitterly. Take a good look at the lady. Yes, palace master, the sweet maid's voice sounded. The sweet maid pushed the door in and helped Yuan tuck the quilt. She sighed and said, Oh, madam, our palace master is such a good person, why don't you like it? If Zener had such a husband, she would die. Value. Yuan opened her eyes and looked at the pretty maid Zener, who looked about 14 or 15 years old. Her serious look was really endearing. Don't call me madam, my name is Yuan, girl, how about you marry that lunatic for me? Xiner was stunned, and immediately waved her hands. No, madam, our palace master is very good, how could he be a madman? She tucked in the quilt and ran away quickly in fright. Haha, it's a shame that Chu Yongxiao wanted to find such an innocent little girl to serve her. Yuan closed her eyes and began to use her power to hit her dantian. She attacked for an hour, but it was completely useless. She stared blankly out of the window. Suddenly, the moonlight outside came in, and something seemed to penetrate into Yuan's body. Her brain and dantian felt comfortable for a while. She had an idea and started to run the technique again. Sure enough, strands of milky white gas entered her body and went straight to her dantian and sea of consciousness. The sea of knowledge is refreshing and refreshing. Yuan's eyes lit up. Her technique was seeing Chenju. The energy of the moonlight at night could be absorbed in the same way as the spiritual energy. However, she didn't expect that the energy of the moonlight could nourish her consciousness and dantian. Gradually, medicine to relieve dantian and sea of consciousness. She quickly activated her skills and sent the energy of the moonlight into the sea of consciousness and dantian. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 177. Chapter 177 The Little Snake Returns. It's a pity that the moon tonight is too small, and it passed by soon. Well. Yuan sighed and had to find a way to test the sun during the day tomorrow. If it works, she can use some of her spiritual consciousness within 5 days. Even if it's just a little bit, she can enter the space. The whole night was uneventful. When it was daylight, Zener brought some water for washing and she scrubbed Yuan clean. Xiner, I want to pay tribute, Yuan said. Oh, yes, why did you forget this? Then I will help you up. Zener put down the towel in her hand, and she helped Yuan sit up. She frowned and said, Madam, please wait for Xiner. She put Yuan down again and ran out. After a while, another girl came, and they worked together to help her up. Yuan couldn't use any strength at all, and was completely carried out by the two girls. When we arrived at Gong's room, it was difficult to deal with it. There was only room for one person in Gong's room. Yuan can't stand, what should I do? Chiao, let's help my wife sit on a stool in the garden for a while, and you can call the palace mistress, Xiner finally decided. Chiao nodded, and the two carried Yuan to the garden and sat down next to Zener, while Chiao ran to find Chu Yongxiao. After a while, Chu Yongxiao hurried over. He knelt down, held Yuan's hand with both hands, and said quickly, Wan I'm sorry, I also ignored this matter. Chiao hurry up and get a bowl of water. Yuan didn't even look at him. Her whole body was limp, otherwise she would have kicked him over. After a while, Chiao brought half a bowl of water. Chu Yongxiao took it and shook some powder in the water before he gave it to Yuan to drink. Yuan did not refuse, she drank half a bowl of water in one breath. Wan I only solved the problem of Ruin Jinsen and got married. I will naturally solve the other problems for you. How many days will I be wronged by you? Chu Yongxiao stroked her hand lovingly. Yuan scolded all his 18 generations of ancestors in his heart. Get married and become your sister. After Yuan drank the water, her body gradually gained strength, and she tried to withdraw her hand. When she regains her strength, she will have to wash her hands. After half a stick of incense, Yuan gained strength. She stood up and looked at Chu Yongxiao with disgust. Step aside. She ran towards Gong's room in a hurry. When Chu Yongxiao saw the disgust in her eyes, his heart twitched and he felt an inexplicable pain. He looked at her running away with a wry smile, his hands clenching tightly unconsciously. Huh, Yuan exhaled comfortably, her bowel movements relaxed and she felt relaxed. She came out of the royal room and washed her hands again and again in the pool next to it before walking into the garden. Chu Yongxiao was the only one in the garden. When he saw Yuan coming out, he hurriedly stepped forward to hold her hand. Yuan took a step back to avoid. Wan do you hate me so much? Chu Yongxiao's voice contained a trace of hurt. Yuan glanced at him with disgust and nodded without hesitation, yes, I'm very annoying. I want to kill you. You. What do you want me to do to like me? Chu Yongxiao almost roared. Yuan sneered, like you? You don't even urinate to look at yourself. You look like a human, and you do all kinds of disgusting things. Is this how you see me? Yuan nodded, yes. Like me? What do you like about me? Tell me. You fall in love with me as soon as you see me. What kind of like is this? Do you know me? Do you know what I am like? What kind of person are you? Do I know you? I came to ask for marriage without even meeting you. Would you like it? Tell me about it. Yuan walked into him and looked at him with stern eyes. What am I? Don't you just like my face? If I destroy it, will you still like it? And when I am old, will you still like it? You kidnapped me without thinking clearly. What a shame you are still the most intelligent prince in the Japanese Empire. In my opinion, you are just a pig, and even pigs are smarter than you. Snort. Yuan flicked her sleeves and returned to the house. Boom, a loud noise sounded behind her. She curled her lips and walked to the bed without looking back, lay down on it, and fell asleep as soon as she closed her eyes. Last night, she watched the dawn with helpless eyes, and now she was sleepy. Chu Yongxiao stumbled to Yuan's bed and looked at her sleeping face. Ha ha, I'm a pig, ha ha ha. I am a pig, you have to marry me too. Chu Yongxiao gritted his teeth and uttered these words. He rolled over on the bed and held her in his arms. He still didn't believe it. The third prince of the Great Sun Empire and the master of the Palace of Destruction could not handle a woman. At this time, Yu Mansion was so gloomy that Yu Heiran almost dropped his hands. It has been 10 days, and there is no clue at all. Chu Yongxiao and Xiao Sier disappeared together. The envoys of the Great Sun Empire were looking for the emperor every day because their third prince disappeared under the feet of the emperor of the Great Yan Empire. It gave the emperor a headache. The emperor had a headache, so he had a headache. He had a double headache, and it hurt him to death. Actually, everyone knows very well that it was Chu Yongxiao who kidnapped Yuan, but do you have any evidence? Do you know where to look? That Chu Yongxiao was very good at kung fu and smart, and he could do it without even noticing if he wanted to take someone away. Master, Master, why are you here? The little snake flew in a hurry. Little snake, it would be great if you came back. Yu Heiran grabbed the little snake in his hand as if grabbing a life-saving straw. What's the matter? Brother Master, little snake saw Yu Heiran crying as if his father was dead. Your master was kidnapped, why did you come back? What? The master was kidnapped? Who is it? The little snake opened its round eyes and looked at Yu Heiran in disbelief, waiting for his answer. It's Chu Yongxiao, hurry up, little snake, take me to find him. The little snake broke free from the restraints and said, Master, don't worry, I'm going to find the master. It's inconvenient to take you with me. When was the master taken away? 10 days ago. 10 days ago. The little snake calculated in his mind that it was trapped in that place 10 days ago. It was also unlucky. After being thrown away by the smelly bird, it broke into a Grand Canyon. Unexpectedly, a golden elixir level monk once lived in that Grand Canyon, and he used the canyon to set up an array. It broke in with all its might and tried its best to break out of the formation. Master, don't worry, Master. I have a contract with the master, and I will find a way to find her. The little snake rubbed Yu Heiran's hand and flew out of the city. Yuan slept for a whole day before waking up. She stretched out, got out of bed and ate the food on the table. The food is not bad, but there is no chili pepper, so it doesn't taste like much in your mouth. Madam, you're up. Xiner came in with water. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 178. Chapter 178. The little snake comes. Yuan did not answer. She finished her meal, washed her hands, and moved a chair to a place in the garden where the moon could shine. She needs to absorb more of the moonlight tonight. Xiner saw that she had no intention of running away, and she didn't care too much about her. As long as she didn't run away, she could do anything. When Chu Yongxiao arrived, he saw Yuan lying on a chair with her eyes closed. He went into the room and took out a thin quilt to cover her. He stood beside her for a long time before leaving. 5 more days, after 5 days she will definitely be his wife. Yuan knew he was coming, covered her with a quilt, and stood by to look at her. She just didn't want to see him. After he left, Yuan breathed a sigh of relief, and she waited for the moon to come out. When the moon rose and shone on her, Yuan immediately started to use her skills to absorb the energy of the moonlight. She looked like she was sleeping soundly. Xiner didn't disturb her, so she could concentrate on absorbing it. An hour later, the medicinal power surrounding the sea of consciousness gradually dissipated, and the energy of the moon filled it, nourishing her sea of consciousness, and the suppression of her consciousness was relieved a lot. But you still can't use your spiritual consciousness. The medicinal power must be dissolved to a certain extent before your spiritual consciousness can be released. The Danshan is much slower. Su Chuyungziao knew that once her Danshan was released, she would definitely find a way to escape. So the medicinal power of Jinggu Danshan is stronger. Yuan sometimes really admired Chuyungziao, a man who practiced black power actually had the medicine to control monks. What a talent! Just like Mujukan said, if the first person she met was Chuyungziao, maybe she would really get along with him. It's just that there is no if, her heart can't accommodate two people, and she doesn't have the heart to hug each other. When things here are settled, she will definitely find a way out of this continent. Her cultivation level is too low, and she really hates this feeling of being controlled by others. 4 days passed like this, and almost 1/3 of the medicinal power in her sea of consciousness was gone. After another night, almost all of the medicinal power would be gone. She tried the sun's energy during the day. The sun's energy was not of much use to the sea of consciousness, but it was useful to the Danshan. This yin and yang also correspond to the sea of consciousness and the Danshan. She lamented that this technique is really miraculous, otherwise she would really become a lamb to be slaughtered. At that time, she didn't know if she still wanted to live, let alone how to face Mujukan, the man she liked. After breakfast, Yuan was still lying on the chair with her eyes closed to relax. Suddenly there was the sound of rapid footsteps, followed by a jingling sound. She opened her eyes, and a girl in a lavender dress hurried towards her. She looked at her with anger, as if they were enemies who would never stop fighting. The girl took 3 steps at a time, ran up to her, raised her hand and slapped her. "I'll beat you to death, you bitch, and my fiancé dares to rob you. It's really too long to live." After the girl finished cursing, there was a pop sound and another slap. Yuan was stunned. She was beaten inexplicably. How could she steal someone else's fiancé? How could she not know? When she wanted to get up, the girl swung a burst of mysterious power, hitting her vital point. Puff, puff, puff. Yuan spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, which fell on her snow-white dress. The blood immediately dispersed, and the clusters were bright red, piercing the eyeballs, like the blooming manzushawa, extremely charming. Yuan's swollen pig-headed face looked miserable and funny at the same time. The girl saw that she was so careless and stopped immediately. She was afraid that if she really killed this woman, Chuyungziao would also kill her. She stood in front of Yuan, looking at her with a contemptuous and condescending look. Ahem, cough, cough, do you always beat people without asking anything? Yuan wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. Who asked you to seduce my fiancé? Seduction? Which eye did you see? I was abducted here inexplicably and became a helpless person. I am so depressed that I don't know who to turn on for my anger. My hair is here. Yuan stood up holding onto the armrest and glared at the girl hatefully. She looked so terrifying. Were you kidnapped? The girl looked unbelieving. Ask Chuyungziao if you don't believe me. Yuan endured the pain and turned back to the house. She took a washcloth and wiped the blood off her mouth. Waner, how are you? Chuyungziao rushed in and pulled her around to face him. It hurts a lot. I have medicine here. Come, sit down and I will apply it on you. He took out a bottle of medicine and helped her sit on the bed. Bring it here, I'll apply it myself, and just find me some medicine for internal injuries. Yuan snatched the medicine from Chuyungziao's hand. Good. Yuan asked him to get medicine for internal injuries. At this moment, he could not suppress the anger in his heart. He left angrily. Madam, let the slave wipe it for you. Xiner came in and saw her appearance, and was a little frightened. Get out and call me madam again, and I will pluck out your skin, Yuan said bitterly. Damn it, when had she ever experienced such cowardice? Zener was really frightened now. She timidly withdrew, not daring to say another word. After Yuan applied it on herself, the medicine was refreshing and cooling, and her face no longer hurt so much. At this time, Chu Yongxiao brought a bottle of medicine, and she took it. The medicine bottle still had some residual warmth, which was obviously brought with her. This guy must have gone to find that woman. Yuan Ke was too lazy to care. She deserved to be beaten to death. She disliked everyone here. I'm sorry, Wan I've made you feel wronged. Let me go. You know that I have been wronged, but you still keep me under house arrest? You have a fiancé and you kidnap me? Are you sick? Yuan scolded him unceremoniously like a shrew. Damn, she was so angry that she couldn't scold anyone else. Wan you can scold me, as long as you feel happy. Don't worry, that fiancé will be gone soon. He took a deep breath, with murderous intent in his eyes. He looked at Yuan and left. Master, master, I finally found you, the little snake suddenly rushed in. Well, why is the master injured, and where is your spiritual power? The little snake kept chattering. Shut up. This guy took so long to find him, and he started making noises as soon as he arrived. Is he trying to lure people here? The little snake immediately closed his mouth and used his spiritual consciousness to check Yuan's Danshan sea of consciousness. After some time, it realized why its master had no spiritual power. Master, let me take you out of here and talk about it later, the little snake said this time. Yuan nodded, let's do it at night. People can't see it during the day. Just let the little snake waste Chu Yongxiao's efforts, so as not to become a demon again later. It would be best if he could be killed and maimed. After Yuan changed her clothes, she lay down on the bed. It hurt her to death. Chu Yongxiao's medicine was not a magic medicine. Its efficacy was not comparable to her healing pill. It was too slow. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 179. Chapter 179 Chu Yongxiao's True Face. That woman is cruel enough. If she had spiritual power, would she still be alive? This is a woman who was bitten by a dog. She is crazy. Yes, let the little snake take care of her later. Little snake. Yuan whispered what she wanted it to do in one breath, and finished in a murmur. The little snake blinked its eyes. It turned out that the owner's injury was caused by a mad woman. It was easy to say, so it would let her live with a pig's head and a face forever. As for Chu Yongxiao, he doesn't know the depth of this person, so it's better to explore first. I have to say that the little snake seemed to have a bright mind now. Master, how about I move a place for you, just in case I fail, I mean just in case, the medicine on you is gone, and you can run away by yourself. Yuan glanced at the little snake a few times in confusion. It was already a third-level snake, so it couldn't beat Chu Yongxiao. She thought about it. It was okay, if she absorbed some more moonlight tonight, she would be able to enter the space. If Chu Yongxiao discovered her abnormality and drugged her, she would not be able to do anything except the antidote every day. Staying in this birdie place every day made her feel very depressed. She nodded. So the little snake flew out immediately and had to find a place to hide. This is also the first time for him to come to this place, so he needs to take a good look at where it is suitable. Chu Yongxiao didn't come back all morning. He just asked the Chiao girl to come over and take a look at her, seeing that she was sleeping peacefully on the bed, and then went back to report the message. At noon, the meal was delivered by Xiner. Yuan struggled to get up and looked at the dishes on the plate with a sad face. She really lost her appetite. Eating this kind of light dish every day makes her mouth feel like a bird. Why don't Wanner eat? Chu Yongxiao came in and looked at the food on the table. It was untouched. He frowned and was about to sit next to Yuan. That movement, that expression, so natural and so skillful. People who don't know think they are an old couple who have been together for decades. Yuan was extremely annoyed. She stood up on the edge of the bed and walked outside the room. Wanner, your injury hasn't healed yet. Chu Yongxiao was about to help her. Yuan turned to one side and said impatiently, are you okay all day long? Don't show up in front of me all the time. I'll get annoyed just by looking at you. Get out. Chu Yongxiao's hands froze in mid-air. He looked at Yuan, who looked like a crazy woman in front of him, and his eyes were in a trance for a moment. He retracted his arm and said calmly, I'm here to tell you that we will get married tomorrow. As long as we get married, the crisis in Dian will be lifted. Of course, if you are obedient, you may have a chance to see your relatives again, maybe, and Mujukan. This is your true face, right? Haha, is the owner of the Palace of Destruction a fool? I'm the one who got it? Yuan looked deeply at the man facing him, looking indifferent, with no expression or emotion on his face. This is a man with a deep scheming mind, and everything before him was just his appearance. Threaten her with the great Yan Empire, and threaten her with her family. These are indeed useful, but his plan may fail. Wanner still understands me. As long as you are obedient, I promise that I will not touch the great Yan Empire. Chu Yongxiao stared at Yuan with his deep eyes, as if he wanted to her in. He feels relaxed when talking to such a smart woman, and she understands everything you say and do. He is the one who will unify this continent in the future. How could the woman around him be an impulsive stupid pig? He couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth. As for a woman, as long as you can conquer her, you will be her heaven. Who else can she think of at that time? So he is not entangled now. People always have to experience it before they can understand it. Haha, he strode away in a good mood. Yuan looked at his back, hating in her heart that this was a crazy wolf. If she could do it, she would definitely kill him with her own hands. She looked at the door, thinking that it would take so long to find a place if the scammer little snake hadn't come back yet. She didn't want to stay here for a moment. Looking at Chu Yongxiao, she had the urge to kill. Master, just as she was thinking about it, the little snake flew into her arms. Why did you come back? Yuan wanted to mention it again. The little snake curled around her wrist with a swish. I've been back a long time ago. I'll be back when Madman Chu comes. Does the master want to marry him? Nonsense, who wants to marry him? Then why didn't the master refuse? So you think I want to marry him? You didn't do anything when you had such a good opportunity just now. Yuan pulled it off and threw it on the ground. Alas, the master was too cruel, and the little snake flew up and wrapped around her wrist. Master is wronged. Madman Chu's strength is not as simple as you think. I'd better send you away. Do you have any healing elixir on you? Let me take a look, master. The little snake searched for it in the space inside its body. After searching for a long time, there was not a single soul-feeding pill except for it. It shook its head towards Yuan. Oh, forget it, she asked. The last time they attacked the monk's lair, the healing elixir was used up, and the ones refined later were all in the space. Then let's go. Yuan walked towards Gong's house. Behind Gong's house was the forest, but she had to climb over the wall. There was a little snake around, so she was still worried that she wouldn't be able to get over it. Arriving at Gongfang, Yuan looked around and asked Little Snake, is there anyone watching this small courtyard? Not here, the little snake replied. Haha, no one in Gongfang dares to stay here. Not to mention the stench, who dares to peep at the palace lord's wife? Yuan walked to the back of Gong's room. She made the little snake grow bigger, and the master and servant flew quietly over the wall and quickly flew into the forest. The little snake has spiritual consciousness and completely avoids the secret guards hiding in the forest. The little snake took her to the edge of the forest, then flew down the cliff, and while mid-air, she got into a small hole that could hold several people. Yuan came down and looked at the naturally formed cave. There were no snakes, rats, insects or ants in the cave. Master, wait for me here. Okay, little snake, you have to be careful. Chu Yongxiao is also good at poison. He can imprison the monk's sea of consciousness and dantian. If you can't win, run away. If you win, it's best to kill him. If you can't kill him, maim him, or stun him with poison. Either way. In short, there should be no chance for him to become a monster again. Yuan Bala Bala said a lot. The little snake rolled its eyes. The owner was so nagging, so it responded and flew away. Yuan sat at the entrance of the cave, looking up at the sky. As long as something happened to Chu Yongxiao, there would be chaos in the Palace of Destruction. Then there would be no leader, and the attack on the Great Yan Empire would naturally end in vain. If things go as she wants, after she recovers and has the power to fight back, she will definitely destroy the Palace of Destruction. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 180. Chapter 180 Chu Yongxiao escaped. The little snake was gone for half a day and a night, and came back while Yuan was waiting anxiously. Master, Master, it's too bad, Chu Yongxiao still escaped after being injured by me, the little snake said impatiently as he flew into the cave. Why did you run away? The little snake said slowly. Don't be in a hurry, Yuan comforted the little snake. The little snake calmed down and then said, Master, when I go back, I will poison all the secret guards hidden in the mountain. Then I will find the woman who beat you and poison her face into a pig-headed face. When I was trying to find Crazy Chu, the woman was so frightened by her that she howled like a ghost, alarming Crazy Chu. He ran over and met me, and we started to fight. Crazy Chu's strength was really great, and we almost got hit by him several times. Later, when he wasn't paying attention, I flew behind him and attacked him. He was injured and fell to the ground. When I sprayed venom to kill him, I don't know how he suddenly burst out with a force that was like a prehistoric one. I attacked. I dodged, but Madman Chu also took the opportunity to escape. He escaped. Did he take the pig-headed woman with him? And was he poisoned by you? Also, did he hide and follow you? What, Master, what did you say? The little snake shook its head and rolled its eyes. How could he have taken a petrol bottle with him when he ran away? It's hard to say whether he was poisoned or not. He was extremely fast and might have escaped. And, Master, how could he possibly be able to follow him? No matter how you say it, I have spiritual consciousness, it's not a decoration. Pa, Yuan took a photo of its snake head. There's so much nonsense. Alas, Master, I have done great service and you still beat me. The little snake looked at her with resentment. Master, is your space okay? Yuan nodded. Last night she absorbed the energy of the moonlight and absorbed the medicinal power in the sea of knowledge. She immediately entered the space and looked at the two little guys. The three pillars were being carried very well and they were having a great time playing with Dabai and Ziobai, so she felt relieved. Then she jumped into the spiritual spring pool and came out after completely dispelling the medicinal power in the sea of consciousness. Master, guess who I saw? Is there anyone else we know? Yuan was a little surprised. The little snake nodded. You recognize it, that's Fen Yuling. She works as a cook on the mountain. Hey, don't worry, I won't be able to keep this kind of person. I will kill him. Master, am I smart? Well, smart and capable, the little snake is the best, Yuan praised so fiercely that the little snake couldn't find it. But the little snake did a good job. Yuan grabbed it and kissed it the top of its head as a reward. Master, the green snake skin of the little snake is faintly reddish. Ha ha ha. Yuan covered her mouth and laughed. Is the little snake shy? She had laughed enough, straightened up, and said to the little snake, let's go back and have a look before leaving. Chu Yongxiao ran away. I wonder what else he might do. All right. The little snake carried Yuan back to the mountain and flew over the courtyard. She wanted to see if Chu Yongxiao was hiding in the yard where she lived. If a big living person suddenly escaped the little snake's pursuit, there must be a secret passage somewhere. She had seen this method of escape before in the palace. This is the nest of destruction, how could it not be without this escape artifact? Little snake, use your spiritual consciousness to carefully search every house and tile on the top of this mountain. I suspect that he escaped through a secret passage. The little snake listened and started searching as she said. Sure enough, he saw some blood on the ground in the yard where Yuan lived. He looked for it, and sure enough, there was a hole under the bed. Master, there is a secret passage under the bed where you sleep. Do we want to go and take a look? Alas, Yuan trembled when she heard this. Chu Yongxiao was cunning enough. If something happened, he would definitely take her hostage and escape from the tunnel. Fortunately, she withdrew first. Chu Yongxiao was probably very angry at this moment. At the critical moment, a snake ruined a good thing. Is the cave entrance exposed or hidden? Exposed. What's wrong, master? Yuan shook her head and said, we're not going, let's go see the monk's lair. Okay, it didn't know why the owner suddenly changed his mind. Of course Yuan will not go, it is obviously a trap. Chu Yongxiao escaped and left clues for her, which clearly meant that she would throw herself into a trap. How could she be that stupid? Have you been fooled once or twice? The little snake took Yuan and flew towards the monk's lair. When they arrived, there was no one in the house. They looked at the place where the purple clothes were, and there was no one there either. Master, they run very fast. Little snake originally wanted to catch the monk who injured Xiao Bai before to take revenge, but he left early. Yuan doesn't think they all ran away, nor did they run away so quickly. They should have left long ago. No, little snake, let's go to the border quickly. Yuan remembered that her mother said that Bai Zi was injured. These monks must have gone there long ago. This Chu Yongxiao did not tell the truth. She let the great Yan Empire go as soon as she got married to him. She was afraid that the day of marriage would be the day of destruction. I'm afraid a fight has already started by this time. My grass, this poisonous snake, is more poisonous than the small snake's poison. If it were another woman, she would be eaten to the bone by him. The little snake flew towards the northern border of the great Yan Empire with great speed. The master and servant rested during the day, and Yuan took the opportunity to absorb the energy of the sun to break the danshan, and rushed on the road at night. At this time, in the tunnel on the top of the mountain, Chu Yongxiao was still there, but he was unconscious at this moment. The guard next to him was also helpless and was about to send the person back to the palace of the Japanese Empire. At that time, when Yuan's master and servant went down, they would definitely follow Chu Yongxiao's way. All kinds of drugs to suppress the monks have already been arranged in the tunnel, waiting for master and servant Yuan to go down. He arrived here as soon as possible after being injured. When he saw no sign of Yuan, he was furious, so he asked someone to arrange these things, and waited for their master and servant to come to find him. He knew very well that Yuan would not let him go. In the end he was disappointed and couldn't resist the snake's venom and fainted. Originally, he was not poisoned much and escaped most of them. He did not wait until Yuan's master and servant, plus he was angry before, and now he was so angry that the snake venom entered his heart and he fell into coma. What he didn't know was that if he forced out the snake venom at that time, or if he prevented the snake venom from attacking his heart, he wouldn't faint and might still be able to save his life. It's hard to say now. Unless he can save his life by asking the monks to refine a second-level antidote elixir before he dies. In this continent, even the first-level elixir cannot be refined, let alone the second-level elixir. It can only be said that it depends on his personal destiny. The little snake's master and servant hurriedly, and finally arrived at Yanshan City in northern Xinjiang 6 days later. End of this chapter.